Right, it's that time again. A new Oddworld Soulstorm trailer has been released, and that means we go through and analyze it, I guess. Now, this is a trailer they released for the Epic Games Spring Showcase. I didn't see it until like 21 hours after it released, and I was like, God, how did I miss that? But to be fair, like I check their website every day, they never update their website. It's still not on the news. It got released like 2-3 days ago. Literally no trace of it on the website, on the news anyway. In fact, you want to know what? On their games page, they still got Soulstorm listed as to be released 2020. Did you know that, folks? Oddworld Soulstorm got released last year, and no one even knew. We could have been playing it for like 2 months already. Well, why has no one told me? But yeah, so you know, it'd be helpful if they could update their website once in a while. It's the 15th of February 2021, and it still says Oddworld Soulstorm is released in 2020. That's pretty amazing. So yeah, this trailer had some pretty interesting new shots. Not the first one though. The first one is just of Abe, and he's looking at the MacGuffin. It's probably a Big Mac, I hope. That's probably bad, because probably made up his brother, so it was a Big Mac. Anyway, but then the first shot is of an interestingly dark area. Basically there's a slig up there. The slig explodes. Why does it explode? I don't know. It's hard to tell. Slig just randomly explodes. They have combustible sligs in Soulstorm that just go off at any minute, which is pretty good. And then there's another slig down there who's like, what the hell was that, man? And then he looks at Abe, or he tries to look at Abe, but Abe's jumped up. Yeah, that's basically that. The next shot is, again, old shot. Basically Abe playing Indiana Jones and getting spiked in the head, as he probably deserves. Interestingly, I just noticed you can see as he dies, the birds, as they do, explode from him. Imagine having loads of birds inside you. Must be really weird. The next shot is of, again, I think this is an old one, Abe just jumping into a mine because he's an idiot. There's the birds again. But then, the next shot, oh, this one's a good one. This is probably my favourite shot in the entire trailer, actually. It's a beautiful shot of Slig Barracks. I really love this one. It's really instantly recognisable as Slig Barracks. There's so much going on. A beautiful view. I love the way it's sort of panned out, so Abe's like really tiny on the screen, but you know, it's just showcasing these massive towers in the background, the tents in the background where presumably all the Sligs live to train and all that sort of thing. Abe's getting fired at, as you'd probably expect to happen at Slig Barracks, and yeah, you know, you can tell these are trainee Sligs because they're missing pretty much every shot. The next shot is like that thing there, that triangle thing. It looks so familiar to me, but my mind cannot place it. Is it like a bell or something? Like, doesn't he like possess them or something like that? I don't know, it just looks so familiar to me and I cannot place it for the life of me. So yeah, but Abe's just possessing. There's like an explosion going on there, a slig. What's going on there? Okay, so it looks like Abe's, oh yeah, so Abe's possessed that slig there on the left. He's like put some, I'm guessing, Soulstorm brew underneath the other slig, and then he's shooting it, so then it explodes, and the slig's like, what? And then it just goes up in smoke, basically. I like that mechanic, that, you know, you've got this flammable drink now that you can just, you know, I guess you can turn it into grenades, you can just pour it around everywhere, use it as flammable liquid and that sort of stuff. I think it's really going to be interesting to see the different combinations that you can do with all the stuff that you can craft and gather and all these supplies that you can get to make all these sort of weapons. And I think, I don't know, it's going to be different, certainly. It's certainly not like it was in the old games. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, we'll just have to wait and see. I think it's going to be different. I think it'll be pretty fun, personally, I think. But yeah. Then the next shot is of the Baron, a new shot of the Baron, which is quite nice. We haven't had many shots of the Gluckens yet, so it's nice to have just this little 2-second clip of him just staring angry. Well, is it angry? What is the Baron's emotion there? He's just kind of sternly, like almost cautiously. It looks like he's got constipation or something. The next shot is of just like this area with like loads of Mudokons jumping about, not really much to say. I like how the levers, I meant to say lever, but because of Oddworld, that a newscaster slig, the first ever newscaster slig, you know, when he says, now pull the lever to your left. Because of that, I say lever, but I meant to say lever. But yeah, so the levers look the same, which I really like. There's Jawbreaker, dispenser there, checkpoint. Is there anything else to say about this shot? I think not. Just, you know, standard stuff really. The next shot, this one I thought was quite interesting. So it's sort of the opposite of what I was talking about earlier, like the Soulstorm flammable grenades where you would throw them and they'd explode with like fire or whatever. Here Abe's like, I'm guessing he's using like water bottles and he's just throwing them to put out the fire. So I'm guessing that's more like the sort of pacifism element of the game, you know, the try not to kill anyone sort of thing, which is quite interesting if that's the way you want to play. Personally, I have no issues whatsoever burning everything alive, including Toby, of course, but you know, I guess some people have a problem with that and would just like to, you know, put out fires instead of create them. But there we go. You're boring. I'm joking. You know, there appears to be like a green thing at the top there. Or is that like a force field or something? I don't know. It's hard to tell from this angle. The next shot is another beautiful shot. It's the same place as earlier, that Slig Rats. This takes place a bit before, and as you can see there's a Slig there, which presumably, I guess, because he's missing from the previous shot, I'm guessing Abe, it takes care of him, if you know what I mean. But yeah, this Slig's just like looking at Abe. Ooh, and then UI comes up. Okay, this is going to be interesting, let's take a look at this. Right. Okay, this is really interesting. So, the objectives says sneak through the Overlook Tower, which he's apparently done. Then you've got to craft a bouncy candy, which I'm guessing is a jawbreaker with like rubber around it, rubber bands around it. Infiltrate the security check. God, this really is a beautiful shot. I love the way, like, you know, because they designed this in like 1990s, whatever. Like, it was in the old games, Abe's Exodus, and now they're finally being able to like really bring it to life. Not that it wasn't alive before, but I mean like show you more of it, if that makes sense. Like, you know, I read that they were tents before. You couldn't really make them out. Now you can sort of really see them, that they're tents and that sort of stuff. And yeah, you've got like a speaker system at the back there, I think is that. So here's the other items that Abe has got. He's got an empty bottle, 90 of them. How is he carrying them in his like backpack? Like, what is that, a TARDIS backpack or something? He's got something called Fatoline. What is that? Is that an actual thing? Let's have a look. No, that's not an actual thing from what I can tell. He's got Metal Bat Venom. Interesting. Ooh, Metals. What are Metals? They're like these beetle things, aren't they? Yeah. I was looking at the code of Munch's Odyssey the other day, yesterday actually, and Metals are referenced in the code, which I thought was really interesting. But yeah, these things that I think they're meant to be in Hand of Odd, one of the many unreleased games, and yet they weren't. So that's interesting that finally the Metals are like getting a reference in the game, at least. So you've got Metal Bat Venom, unless a Metal Bat is something completely different, like, you know, Metal Bat, what is that? I don't know. Maybe a Metal and one of those annoying bat things had a baby, and this is its venom. And then you've got Antidote. So again, for you pacifists out there, maybe you want to poison a Slig with Metal Bat Venom, and then you want to revive him and give him the antidote just so he doesn't die. It's very nice of you. Then you've got 10 tapes and tools and keys. He's got a silver square and copper rounded key, which is really interesting. I just noticed the square one is more of a triangle, and the round one, also the copper one, says it's round. Yeah, unlike the silver round, it looks exactly like the silver square. And also the silver square isn't even silver, I just realised that. Well, and the copper one isn't even copper, it's gold. Whatever, these are just, you know, early things, I'm guessing. So then, okay, so his other items are just like other stuff he's got in his backpack, I'm guessing. But then you've got like your circle of stuff, which I guess you can equip and swap out with the other items in your backpack. So the items he's got in his backpack, in his whatever circle thingy, he's got like 19, I'm guessing, rocks, 20 Soulstorm Brew bottles, 20, what is that, grenades? Like Soulstorm Brew turned into grenades. Ooh, you can pick up the mines. That's really interesting. So you can pick up 10 mines, 9 mines, what were they? I think they're called UXBs, were they, or something? Let me have a look. Yeah, they're called UXBs. So that's really interesting. Firstly, that they're in the game. I didn't know that, or did I? I probably did actually. I'm sure they should like released a bit of it before. So yeah, they've got that. Then you've got just like other stuff. I think that's a jawbreaker, 50 jawbreakers, 10 jawbreakers with rubber bands around them, 10. I'm guessing that's like a bouncing grenade, maybe, or is that like a smoke grenade? Who knows? Got like fizzy pop there, energy drink. I'm guessing that's like a shaken fizzy pop. Maybe that distracts someone, or maybe it can actually be used as a weapon, like dangerous. I don't know. Then you got 10 Gordon Bennett. What is that? It's like some kind of monstrosity. I don't even know what the hell that is. I don't know, but it looks very sticky by the looks of it. I wouldn't want that in my backpack, I tell you. So yeah, that's really interesting. And he's allowed 20 brew bottles, and it says tasty and flammable. So that's interesting that you're allowed 20. I noticed that the mines, you got 10 mines there, and you got 9 mines there. So maybe you're only allowed like 10 mines. So that's why he's got it in 2 separate sections. Who knows? Or maybe they're completely different mines, but they have the same. Yeah, it could just be like a stand-in. Like maybe they're 2 different types of mines or bombs, but they've just put in a stand-in. That's really interesting the way Abe's able to utilise in this game the weapons of the Magog cartel, the way you can use the stuff that before you just had to deal with, before you were being the victims of it, and now you're able to use it against your enemies that were previously using it against you. So that's really interesting. Also, I just noticed it's like flammable, what's the word? Cartridge? Case? Flammable crate, that's it. Flammable crate. Which reminds me of Crash Bandicoot for some reason, but yeah. So that's interesting, a lot of red flammable crates. I remember playing James Bond Nightfire, and you always used to know, like, the red barrels explode, shoot them. And yeah, so, but yeah, overall, I really like this shot. It's instantly recognisable as Slig Barracks, and it's probably one of the best shots in the game that I've seen so far. The next shot is just like a train station area. Abe sort of searches in this locker here, and he says, you've discovered a new item, brew bottle 3. Splashy, sticky, very tasty, and highly flammable. Soulstorm brew will help you get the party started, and then help you burn down the venue when you've had enough. Which, this sounds like an anarchist's dream, or a, no, pyromaniac's dream. Yeah, get drunk, then just burn down a place. That's brilliant. Interestingly, this area must be at the beginning of the game then. If it says you've discovered a new item, potentially, maybe that's just like a stand-in thing. Could be an indicator that's at the beginning of the game. Not much else to say about this shot. The next shot appears to be at a similar place, which we now have a name. It is the Old Trellis, which is really interesting. Apparently the employees, there's 253 of them, and 0 casualties and 0 escapees. Come on, Abe. I don't care if you're being good or evil, just do something to cause either a casualty or an escapee, I don't know. Security, there's 41, that's a lot. Casualties of security, 0. So yeah, this appears to be like very early on in the level, I guess, potentially. Yeah, there's a jailbreaking machine. There's a sign there. What's the sign say? Escapees will be shot. Lovely. How can they get shot if they've escaped them? Seems silly. They should just shoot them on the site anyway. Anyway, you've got this Slig, and he's just like patrolling, and Abe's about to throw him something. It's funny how Abe always like looks like the Lord of the Dance or something when he's gonna throw something. And Abe does throw something at the Slig, and the Slig does this very sort of thing, and he gets tied up basically, which I didn't know Abe was into that sort of stuff, but whatever. But yeah, so that's another one for you pacifists. The next shot is of, again, the same area probably. Abe's just like, leading all these Mudokons, whatever. There's another one of those levers that I like. I like them because they're like how they are in the old games. I think that's really good. I'm sure there's been a lot of changes, and I'm not necessarily for the changes, but there is a lot of old stuff there that's still the same. And I quite like that, like it's still recognisable. A lot of it, like the Slig Barracks is instantly recognisable, that sort of thing. I think it's really good. Then you've got another area which is on the train. I'm guessing it's like just after the area that we just saw, because it's similar sort of landscape. But yeah, Abe's just jumping about a train. Could you do that in real life? I don't think so. You'd be flying everywhere. Look how fast the train's going. Does he have like gravity boots on? I don't think so. So how is he staying still? Who knows? The Mudokons are throwing stuff up the sky, which is pretty interesting. I just realised I can get a better look at that green thing, and I still have no idea what it is. It's just like a green glowing thing. The next shot is another one of my favourite shots in the trailer, of course, because it confirms that the greeters are back in Oddworld, and that is incredible news. They appears to be in like Slig Barracks. I think it's like that toilet area where it's like the Slig toilets. Interestingly, I remember I noted that it's interesting that in Abe's Exodus, the head of Slig Barracks, General Dripic, chooses to be personally guarded by greeters, which is really weird. Like, it just shows that even he doesn't trust the Sligs. I love that they're instantly recognisable. They move the same, maybe not as wobbly. I don't know, it's hard to tell. But like just the way he turns That's what I noticed, is less like, it's just so good. So similar to how it was in the old games. I find it interesting that the lasers now are also like crisscrossed, which makes sense because, like, you know, now it's not 2D, they can't really, you know, they just say, oh, why doesn't Abe just walk around the laser? Well, now he can't because it's like there's crisscrossed vertically. Personally, the way I would have done it, I've actually imagined in my head like greeters in 3D, which is a weird thing to say, I guess, but I always imagined it that the laser moves like left to right or whatever. I sort of did a really bad animation test thingy of what that'd be like. But yeah, so the greeters are back in Slig Barracks, and I mistook the lightning. The lightning looks kind of pale to me, like potentially blue, but I think mainly white. I think it's meant to be red, like, yeah, I think it's meant to be red. It's also interesting that the greeter opens his mouth when he shoots the laser. I don't know if that's the greeter, you know, like how greeters, you know, they see Abe and they go, get him or something, you know. I don't know if that's just like a coincidence. Like, I don't think the laser's coming out of the greeter's mouth. It could be. It looks like it is. But I think what's happened there is just the greeter's seen Abe, you know, and it said something, and then zap. Zappity zap zap. And also, if you have a look, at the top there's some vending machines there. You've got some bands, which I'm guessing are rubber bands, some jawbreakers, I think those are jawbreakers, and a moolah sign, which is really interesting. Also like an ATM machine, maybe. That was an idea for one of the early concepts for Munch Odyssey on the PlayStation 2. There's going to have like moolah vending machines, like ATM machines, sorry, that you could use. You could like possess a Slig and use it or whatever to buy like better armor or equipment and that sort of thing. That's something I read years ago anyway. Oh yeah, like I said earlier, it's interesting how Abe can use the things against the Magog cartel against them. Like, now he's using their money against them too. He can use moolah in this game, which is really interesting. It's a bit like what the Penguin from Gotham said. He said something like, everyone's weakness is what they love. You love money. So I gave your men more money than you to betray you. Or something like that. You know, this idea that you're using someone's weapons against them. It's really interesting. I find that string of like just moving green lights interesting. I don't know if that's just for decoration or if that actually does something. Oh, I see. I think it's like power cord, because it appears to be like connecting to the lever there. So I think it's like something to do with that. Maybe there's like a power system or something. Maybe you have to like, I don't know, maybe it's saying it controls like a door there or something like that. And of course you got Mudokons scrubbing in the area. Personally, I find it interesting that Mudokons have hats now, the scrubs. I've always been against that sort of thing, but I guess I'm too much of a traditionalist. I always liked it how in the first two games the Mudokons literally just looked like Abe, but they were green. I didn't like when I started with Munch Odyssey, when they sort of started to dress them up and that sort of stuff. I didn't like that. I just thought, wow, it just didn't make much sense to me. But I liked it when they were just like Abe but green, basically. It's quite interesting actually that the greeter zaps Abe literally as soon as he sees him. Like, there's no time for Abe to run or anything. So I wonder if in this game, as soon as they see you, it's insta-death, or if they'll give you a chance to run away, and maybe Abe just got really unlucky there because like there was nowhere to run or something. Like, he was jumping down as it saw him, so it had time to go towards him and shoot him and zap him, whatever. Next shot is a shot they've shown before in last trailer. I think it was just of Necrom. Oh, and yeah, it's a triangle thing. I knew I recognised it. So these triangle things must be like a gameplay element. I wonder if he has to possess them or something. I feel like he has to possess them, but who knows? They're clearly something that you have to do in the game. I don't know what they are. I really recognise them though. Like, I swear, like I don't know. They just look so familiar to me. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm recognising them from this shot here, from the previous trailer. The next shot is really interesting because it's in the depths of Necrom by the looks of it, and Abe is being chased by these squid things that potentially may or may not be Fleechers, and Abe turns around with his torch and they just run away from him. This reminds me of like some Doctor Who thing, like the Weeping Angels or the Silence or something. I remember this game Doctor Who, the Eternity Clock, and when you were fighting the Silence, I think you had to like look at them and then they'd go away or something, and then but if you looked away they'd like come at you. It wasn't like that, but it was something like that. It reminds me of something to do with that sort of stuff, you know. It's like a Doctor Who villain, and I think it's really creative actually that they've introduced this sort of enemy in the game, because like, you know, it's something different. Even in the old games they didn't have anything like that, so it's just an interesting gameplay mechanic. Like, you've got these squid things, you have to keep on looking at them or they'll bloody come at you and that sort of stuff. The next shot is really interesting because it shows how you do the bird portal things and save the Mudokons. So you've got all these Mudokons chanting, giving Abe the power, and he just sort of does a possession orb, and a possession orb which is gold goes into the bird portal and it opens up this bloody thingy, and then the Mudokons will run inside, leaving Abe behind because, oh, they're cowards, they're just escaping to safety while Abe's fighting for them. And then the next shot is pretty boring, it just shows Slig scanning the area. Next shot shows Abe sneaking behind a Slig, really, like, how is he not noticing Abe's right there behind him? And then Abe sneaks behind a locker. Why would you be looking up there? Like, what the hell's up there? Row 1 tank, it says, which is really interesting. So that must be like these spider tanks, maybe, that have been seen in previous trailers. That Slig's just chilling. He's got the white light, so he's all good. And he's just like, Abe's just died in the locker. And then I'm guessing the Slig's probably gonna patrol to the right. And that's when you sneak out the locker, jump up, and then you're safe. But don't stay there too long, because this Slig is looking up there. Next shot is just a shot they've shown before, where it's just a possessed flying Slig using this like shotgun shell to just blow up this other flying Slig. And then the final shot is a shot they've shown before that they keep on advertising, where it's just Abe about to cut his stitches. I'm telling you now, he's not going to do it, but this is probably the clearest they've shown it, I think, potentially. And then there's like a shot saying, Oddworld Soulstorm, coming to PC and PlayStation this spring, apparently. Yeah, sure, let's say it is coming to PC and PlayStation this spring. Will it actually? Who knows? Available to pre-purchase on Epic Games Store now. Okay, and I really like this shot of Abe. I don't know why I like it, because I do think it looks, I don't know, there's something weird about it, but I like it. Just the way his eyes move is like really weird, like, what? I think his head is too still, and then his eyes just move. I don't know, it just looks weird to me. Not in a bad way necessarily, it's just really weird. But yeah, and so that was the trailer of Oddworld Soulstorm for the Epic Spring Showcase. I thought it was pretty good, and I look forward to seeing more when we finally get to play in spring. Right, Oddworld inhabitants, in spring, not 2020, spring 2021. I look forward to playing Oddworld Soulstorm.
Hello, follow me.